同学们好，今天给大家介绍安省在线高中Ontario Virtual School 的12年级微积分课程。这门课程是所有申请理工科以及商科的学生必修的一门课程。这门课程的代码是 MCV4U， 它的前置课程要求是 MHF4U， 也就是12年级的高等函数。首先带大家来进入到这门课程，我们学校专门为这门课程录制的一个视频介绍。
Grade 12 Calculus and Vectors builds on students' previous experience with functions and their developing understanding of rates of change. MCV4U will include the following units. Unit 1, Rates of Change. Do your grandparents ever complain about how much the world has changed in their lifetime? Well, with the invention of modern technologies, it can often seem like the world is changing much faster than it did in previous generations. In mathematics, investigating modern phenomena requires understanding the behavior of a function and predicting its change. Complex systems that can't be solved algebraically can show patterns or be dictated by their previous states. In this unit, you will connect your knowledge of functions to explain how a system or equation can be expected to change over a short or long period of time. Unit 2, Derivatives. Over the course of human history, astronomers and philosophers have attempted to understand the motion of the stars and planets without success. That is until Sir Isaac Newton invented differential calculus in the late 1600s, allowing astronomers of the time to determine and prove the elliptical orbits of our nearby planets and stars. In today's society, derivatives remain fundamental to the mathematical methods employed in nearly every modern industry. In this unit, you too will be able to explore the vast significance of derivatives as you begin building connections between the key features of a function through its first and second derivatives. Unit 3, Curve Sketching. What is the best way to package 500 grams of cereal if your goal is to use the least amount of material possible? Questions like this are posed every day by corporations looking to package and market their products in the most eco-friendly and economical way possible. In this unit, you will learn to draw connections between the derivatives of a function and the shape of its graph, as you use the derivatives to determine the key features of the graph. Your graphs will then provide a visual answer to problems with real-world applications, including cases of optimization like this. Unit 4, Special Functions, Sinusoidal, Exponential, and Logarithmic. A human heartbeat, the rotation of the Earth on its axis, the sound wave created by a single guitar strum. All these things can be modeled as a periodic function. In this unit, you will explore the key characteristics of periodic and sinusoidal functions and use these to model a variety of different problems. You will also investigate the rate of change of exponential functions and begin examining a special type of logarithmic function. Unit 5, Vectors, Geometric, and Cartesian. Thousands of planes take off into the sky every day. To keep them all from crashing into each other, air traffic controllers use vectors to track each plane's current location and the direction it's moving in. In this unit, you will investigate vectors in 2-space and 3-space, perform operations on them, and use the properties of these operations to solve a variety of real-world problems. Unit 6, Lines and Planes. The street systems and grids that make up the layout of a city can all be described using lines and planes. As you delve into this unit, you will need to recall your knowledge of intersecting lines in 2 dimensions as we ask you to extend those ideas into a 3rd dimension. Along the way, you'll be developing new methods to describe the intersections of planes and lines.
接下来，我带领大家进入到这门课程的后台，来看一下真实的课程内容以及对学生有哪些要求。这是课程的主界面，这是这门课程的代码。这门课程一共有55课，其中有9个要交的作业记分项，有7个是必须交的，2个是 optional 的。 你如果报名相同的课程，有可能会分到不同的老师，因为我们的学生非常多。但是你的任课老师他的电子邮件地址会在这里出现，这是他实时在线的时间。如果你的老师不是实时在线的时间呢，你可以针对这门课程的任何疑问，可以通过邮件与老师联系，老师有2个工作日的回复时效。这门课程是有讨论版，学生可以在讨论版参与已知和 post 新的讨论，那么是可以有记分加分的效应。在 Gradebook 里面会记录这门课程所有记录成绩的项以及你目前取得的成绩。如果你已经有上交作业或者有做过章节测验的话呢，那这边会有老师批改出的分数。这门课程是有章节测验的，以及有上交的作业要求的。这门课程除了章节测验之外呢，还有一个期末考试是要线下进行的。Dropbox 里面就会记录你平时要上交的作业。如果你交作业的话呢，请点击加号，然后从自己的电脑里面选择你的作业文件进行上传。在 Resources 里面，我们老师给列出了所有提供给这门课程的免费的电子教材、电子的练习题以及模拟题和答案。我们的电子教材是我们学校专门为这门课程而编辑的。电子教材一般都是图文并茂，有几百页之多。这门课程的电子教材有500多页。这些电子教材是免费提供给所有的学生，同时我们也提供了练习题和答案，以及模拟题和答案。如果做章节测验的话呢，是进入到 Test Center。如果大家不知道如何进行章节测验，欢迎联系我们，或者进到 How to Videos 可以看到有视频的演示。接下来我们进入到这门课程本身，来看一下这门课程教授的是如何教授这些内容的。从刚才的视频我们了解到这门课程一共是分6章，那我们现在先选择比如第1章第1节，我们进入看一下老师是如何教授的。任何时候可以点击这个符号进入到全屏学习。我们可以选择从任何的页面学习，但是我们一般是建议学生按照顺序来学习。
Observe carefully how the quantity of water in container A changes. The time for filling the container A with 9 liters of water is 9 seconds. Notice that the graph of the relationship of quantity of water to time is as follows. Now observe how the quantity of water in container B changes. The time for filling the container B with 9 liters of water is 3 seconds. Notice that the graph V of t is also linear, but the slope of the x-axis is different. In both containers, the quantity of water increased at a constant rate, but in container B, the rate of change was higher. From the table, we read out that the rate of change in the container A is 1 liter per second, and in the container B, the rate is 3 liters per second.
Now, in addition to the tangent method, another way of finding the instantaneous rate of change is to apply an average rate, but so long as the average rate falls midway between the secant line that we're using to find the slope. Let me show you an example to illustrate what I'm talking about. Let's say we have this function, and we're interested in finding the instantaneous rate of change at point P. Okay, so again, if we're not going to use a tangent line, this method is making sure that we pick 2 points, let's call them A and B, that are equidistant on the horizontal scale away from P. So let's imagine we go 4 units to the left, drop our point,
第2章
and we'll call that point A, and we go 4.
我们仍然是可以选择任意的顺序，但是正常的情况下呢，同学们都需要按照顺序来学习。
Let us prove the chain rule. To make the calculations easier, we will have to assume that for all h not equal to 0. f of x plus h is not equal to f of x.
So let's take an example. We have our function y is equal to 3x squared minus 5, all raised to the exponent 2. So again, what the chain rule is telling us, we take this exponent in order for us to find the y prime. Here is our exponent, multiply it out in front. Everything inside the bracket, notice, remains the same. And we have subtracted 1 from that exponent. 2 minus 1 gives us 1. We're not finished though. Now we've taken the derivative of the outside part of the bracket. We need to multiply this by the derivative of the inside part. What is the derivative of 3x squared minus 5? Well, it's going to be 6x. And so here's another example. We can see that this bracket is raised to the exponent 7. Now that would obviously be a tremendous amount of work to take this bracket and multiply it by itself 6 more times if we didn't want to use chain rule. So certainly chain rule is a very powerful technique that allows us to take the derivative without having to do a whole lot of simplification beforehand. So again, what does the rule state? If we're looking to find the derivative, or f prime of x, we can re-express things in exponential form because we do have a radical in there. Now finding its derivative, the 7 is brought out to the front, bracket stays the same, and notice 1 has been subtracted from the 7, giving us 6. Now we need to multiply this by the derivative of the inside part. The derivative of the inside part, first starting with the x cubed, is 3x squared. Second piece becomes 10x, and the third piece becomes negative 1/2 x to the negative half, because we have to, don't forget, subtract 1. So what do we do now? Well, again, the calculus part is done. We've taken its derivative officially. We're just looking now to simplify this answer a little bit. So we can expand. This part can all, of course, be multiplied by the 7, giving us 3 times 7 gives us the 21. 10 times 7 gives us the 70. And negative 1/2 times 7 gives us, of course, 7/2. Now, I've already taken the liberty of taking the negative 1/2 as an exponent, taking it to the downstairs or into the denominator, and then turning it back into a radical. The second component, of course, remains the same. We don't wish to simplify that. It's all to the exponent 6, so we'll leave that as it stands.
我们再看一张。
Unit 5.
选一页。
It is quite easy to calculate the magnitudes of the component forces when these forces are perpendicular to one another. Applying trigonometric functions, we can then calculate the magnitudes of the forces. The angle between the two forces, F and F2, is the same as the angle of inclination of the plane. Both triangles formed by the forces are right-angled triangles and are congruent, which means that their angles and their sides are identical. In the picture, we can see that F1 equals F multiplied by sine alpha. F2 equals F multiplied by cosine alpha. On substituting the data, we obtain F1 is equal to 10 newtons multiplied by 0.5, which is 5 newtons. F2 equals 10 newtons multiplied by 0.87, which is 8.7 newtons.
时间关系，我们不再演示更多的课程的内容。如果你对这门课程12年级微积分学分有需求，需要注册这门课程的话，我们同时接受学分和非学分2种方式。那我们的注册呢是全年滚动报名的。如果你提交了所有的需要的成绩单、护照以及申请表，并且交付了学费，我们2个工作日之内就可以开通课程。课程开通之后1年之内有效。如果你学习的足够快，希望尽快得到学分的话呢，最快28天是可以结束这门课程的。在中国的学生也同样可以修加拿大的网课，取得加拿大的学分。加拿大是承认双重学籍的。针对网课如何注册报名等等任何问题，欢迎大家扫屏幕右方的2维码联系我们的招生老师进行咨询和报名。通过我们中文部来报名与通过官网报名是有区别的。首先，非学分方式是不能通过官网报名的。其次，通过中文部来报名的话， 我们是提供中文的报名、咨询以及注册后的 guidance 老师的服务。如果对英语不够自信的家长，也同样可以通过中文联系我们的中文招生老师，随时了解学生在这门课程的进度以及学习的进展情况。中文部的市场活动优惠，通过我们中文部来报名是可以获得直接减免。通过在线的方式取得加拿大的学分，从而达到留学能够达到的目的，适用于已经留学、目前回到中国的学生，也适用于还没有落地到加拿大，但是有打算来留学的学生，可以使你提前在中国做好准备，使你的留学计划不受到干扰。欢迎同学们联系我们报名咨询，祝所有的同学都能够成功留学，留学成功。欢迎大家随时联系我们，谢谢。